Welcome to Nightside with Rick Kennedy and Chris Wall. Nightside, discussing business, your business, in Crossett, Arkansas. Welcome to the Ashley News Observer's new podcast, Nightside. I'm your host, Rick Kennedy, publisher of the Ashley News Observer, and my special guest, Mr. Chris Wall, the Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce, the Crossett Chamber of Commerce. Let's be clear. Chris, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
And I appreciate you being part of our initial podcast here. And what we seek to do is basically give a voice to the businesses and business community in Crossett. And there's certainly a lot to talk about. And we've got the most appropriate person to talk about it because his business is chamber business, the Chamber of Commerce. And Chris, recently, in fact a week ago, you had the annual Chamber Banquet and Awards.
Yes,
could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, like I said, it was last Thursday, and it was my second time doing a chamber banquet, so still kind of learning the ropes of it, but it was one of the better events, one of the events I enjoyed the most because we get to honor those who have sacrificed their time, their energy, and shown that Crossett is a great place to live. So we get to, award those individuals for Ambassador of the Year, Man of the Year, Volunteer of the Year, Woman of the Year, Spirit Award, Nonprofit. We just have so many awards, and this year we even created a new award for Mr. Sam Finney for a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award for everything that he's been doing for Crossett.
Well, I noticed one thing that I thought was unique in the award ceremony was you had a Woman of the Year.
Yes.
Most of the places where I've been a chamber member or been on a chamber board, we've typically had a Man of the Year or a Business Person of the Year or something of that nature. I thought it was interesting that you had a separate, I guess, dedicated category for female business owners or female business leaders. Could you expound on that a little bit? Was that something you came up with, or was that in place before?
So that was in place before, and actually I believe the Man of the Year and Woman of the Year have only been going on for about 6 years, including this year. So those are both fairly new. Last year we did create the Nonprofit of the Year because Crossett has some amazing nonprofit organizations, so we want to be able to recognize them. And again, we created a new award this year. So every year we're just trying to expand and increase and reach everybody in Crossett that deserves something.
Well, let me step back for a moment because some of our viewers, obviously they've heard of the Chamber of Commerce, and it's a membership, I say a membership-driven organization, so you have members that you have. But maybe explain more what the Chamber is and what it does.
Well, most people think that the chamber is just that building at the end of Main Street and we're closed all the time, and I assure you that's not. Yes, the doors might be closed, but I have a sign on it because when I go out working with this job, I don't want to be stuck at the chamber. Our members are not at the chamber, so why should I be? We should be out with our members, being involved, being engaged. But to backtrack, what the chamber is we are set to, we're a nonprofit organization, so we only run off of our membership. That's how we, function, and we are there to support our businesses, support our individuals that join us. There has been some discussion what the difference is between the city, between the economic development, and between the chamber. So the easiest way is just think of the chamber as the cheerleaders, the spokesperson, the ones that hype everybody up about our members, about our organizations. That's the most simple way is I'm the cheerleader for our local businesses.
Well, beyond being a cheerleader, I know different chambers across the country perform different functions. I know some chambers act as the economic development agency. Some chambers run basically an event, a community event, such as our friends at the Hamburg Chamber.
Yes,
they run an Armadillo Festival.
Yes, sir.
Some even run kind of a combination of various functions. They do some economic development, but they also do a member co-op or a member purchasing co-op, like a health plan or something. Where does the Crossett Chamber, and I realize there's an economy of scale with, obviously, we're a small town versus a big town. But where does the Crossett Chamber fall in this paradigm of chambers?
So, as we know, like you said, a lot of chambers have the economic development tied in. Crossett is lucky enough to have a separate entity because there's no way I can do what Mike does. I'm not smart enough for that. I don't know the folks he knows, but he's great at that job. Our chamber, we focus on building memberships, building connections. That's my main function is I want to create that environment where people feel valued and secured and that they actually like what the chamber does. Yes, we do events throughout the year. We have our annual banquets. We have our Buddy Bass that's gonna end up being September this year. We have our Christmas in Crossett. We have events, but that is not what drives our chamber. Those events that we do are just meant to bring the community together.
So you say, in a sense, something doesn't drive the chamber, then what does drive it? Is it relationships that you're trying to build? Is it a particular, I know, I guess we'd all love the chamber to bring in a 2,000 job factory or something, but
Yes.
I mean, what is kind of the end result if you can articulate it?
So the chamber is, again, it's the membership, it's the people of Crossett. That's what we are here for. We are not here to bring in jobs. We wish we could. We work with economic to bring in the jobs, but we just want to make our members feel valued, and we want to become that chamber where people come to us to sign up. Instead of us, myself, our board members going, knocking on doors, please join. We're trying to get it to where folks come here, knock on our door, call our phones, and try and find out more information about who we are, what we do. Now, we try and give back to the community as much as possible. We try and, do little fundraisers. We try and give out toys, tricks, cash, gift certificates. We're even giving out a $50 gift card tomorrow. We're gonna pick the winner. But again, it's just community engagement, I think, is the one key element that really drives our chamber.
Now, I know one time we talked about the Crossett Chamber, and you and I had this discussion, and I believe I remember you saying that a unique aspect of this chamber is that it's not necessarily limited to a business, that if you wanted as an individual to be a member, there
Yes,
was
sir.
a path to do that.
Absolutely. So again, individuals, businesses, pretty much anybody can join. Whether they're retired, whether they're still working, it does not matter. We have a path forward, a plan, a way for anybody to join our chamber, and we just realized that a lot of folks didn't know what it was, so that's why I'm going around and,
Doing shows like this.
Absolutely, absolutely. But anybody can join our chamber. There is no requirements or you have to be this, have to be that, because we want our chamber to be a member-ran chamber. So the community, that's who I really want to get to run our chamber, through our various committees. Our Buddy Bass, our retail merchants, our community engagement. We have so many committees that we at the chamber can't do it on our own. So we invite our members, our community, to come and share their ideas on how to build a bigger, brighter experience for us, and with that, create a bigger, brighter experience for Crossett.
Now, you mentioned these committees. I know in some chambers they have, I'll say, standing committees, and then some are just committees that are created for specific purposes. Like if there's a litter problem, they may create a committee to pick up litter. But are these committees you refer to, are they standing committees, or are they specific to a certain, task or certain function? How would you best describe, or do you know the names of these?
So
committees?
yes, we have various committees. Some are standing committees. They stay in that position all year long. And some are just based for certain events. So for instance, our Christmas in Crossett, we know there's some amazing individuals out here who are better at decorating than I am, have more Christmas spirit than I do. So we try and grab those folks to join our Christmas in Crossett committee to make sure that it's a a great experience for everybody here. This past year at Christmas in Crossett, we started something new with this elf boot camp, where kids would come in and go to different stations and, make reindeer food here, or, make Christmas ornaments here. They'd take their little certificate with them at each station, it'd get stamped, and at the end they'd go to the head elf who'd sign their name on it. And, these kids became certified, and that's something that I can't come up with amazing ideas like that, but it works so well, we want to keep building on that in the future. So again, yes, to circle back, we have various committees of standing and special committees is, I guess, a good word for them.
Well, I know some of the chambers, or at least some that I've been involved in, they have, they would have like an executive committee. And what this committee basically did was they evaluated the job of the director.
Yes.
And sometimes some of them did a performance review, and some of them just simply said, great person, been here a year, let's give them a raise. Some of them go into a more, extensive review process, where there may be a management by objectives or certain goals or benchmarks. I presume this chamber has such a committee?
Yes, we have an executive committee, and again, I'm not on it for obvious reasons.
Right.
But no, we have our executive committee, and like I said, they are part of our board as well. So we take our board and we have, a small select few of them for the executive committee, and they help shape our bylaws, and handbooks, and the way that we operate, the way I operate. And yes, they're the ones that say either I'm doing a good job or you might want to improve. But again, the criticism, it's not negative, it's just always constructive. They are there to help me be better. So anything that they say or do, it doesn't hurt. I don't have feelings anymore. I lost those long ago in the military, but our executive committee is extremely helpful, just like the rest of our board. They have great ideas, we talk about them, and we try and just push forward to create a better environment for everybody.
Now, in your role as the chamber director, one thing you mentioned is you're often out of the office. So I presume by that you say you're going door to door to visit people, but I know you came to this office here at the Ashley News Observer, which we appreciate, by the way. But is that what you spend a good deal of your time doing, visiting these different businesses?
Absolutely.
And what do you learn when you visit these businesses?
So again, it's harder for me because I'm not from Crossett. So that was my biggest challenge, was going to the businesses, learning who's working at the business, what the business is, how long they've been there, because I like to learn the history. I don't want to just come here and, hey, I know you, good to see you again. I want to learn about the history of the business, how long have they been going. But I don't just visit our members, I go and visit our non-members to see what can we do to get them to join. What can the chamber do better? What have we done in the past that made you not want to join? But again, I prefer to be out with the community and interacting with folks, because it's pretty boring in that office. So paperwork and the computer, you get kind of tired after that for a while. So why not come out and visit folks and see some of the great individuals of Crossett?
Well, that, and I would presume also you've got to have the pulse of the community. And maybe we talk about that in our next segment. I'm Rick Kennedy. He is Chris Wall. This is Arkansas Nightside, where we explore the businesses of Crossett and the business community. And after this word from our sponsor, or would-be sponsors, we'll be back to talk more to Chris Wall. For sponsorship of this podcast or any other podcast of the Ashley News Observer, contact Sarah Stagg or Emerald Bonnet at the Ashley News Observer. And welcome back to Arkansas Nightside, a presentation of the Ashley News Observer. I'm your host, Rick Kennedy, and right beside me you have Mr. Chris Wall, the Executive Director of the Crossett Chamber of Commerce. I hope I gave you a better intro this time. We were talking about the different businesses in Crossett that you see. Obviously, it's a small town, so we know that. And we know that there aren't like a dozen factories here. It's mainly what we would call back in the day, small mom and pop type places. But could you tell us maybe what, as you ventured around, what you see the ratio of business? Are they mostly retail? Are they service? Are they, I don't know, 12 insurance agencies? What is the composition of the business community as you've seen so far?
Well, so far what I've seen is a great mixture of everything. It's not leaning too much to one side or the other. Yes, we have retailers, we have service companies, we have a little bit of everything here in Crossett, so it's not leaning too much to one side, and I think that's what balances Crossett out so well. The fact that even if we have 2, 3, 4, 5 realtors, they all work together. There is no hostility between them, so everybody has that good cohesion, and that's just part of the wonderful things of living here in Crossett. Everybody's here for each other. So again, the mixture of everything, the cohesion, there is no way to better describe it other than blissful is a good way, because that's how we're living.
Well, now, let me throw another one at you.
Okay.
Okay, what about the most unusual business you've seen here? If you have, I mean, I know I drove around one day and saw, it looked like a mortuary stone maker or a gravestone maker out on the highway near the Mazios. And the guy, I guess he just does gravestones or these things you associate with a burial. I thought that was a bit interesting.
I think that might take the cake there, because I can't really think of anything that's over the top, I guess, or unusual in that way. So you might have beat me on that one.
Well, I know in some ways the newspaper and the chamber somewhat are very similar in that we deal with a similar clientele, which is the business community.
Yes, sir.
We're kind of more of a business-to-business sales, because even though people know us as a news organization, we also obviously sell ads to businesses. And so it becomes a business-to-business relationship. Also, you know, you're in the business-to-business relationship as your members. So I presume there's a little bit of a synergy. Of course, that's why I guess we're doing a show together too, is because we do have kind of a common purpose, that we want a healthy business community out there.
Absolutely. I think that is the pinnacle of what we're trying to do with the chamber, is create that healthy business and keep them healthy and keep doing as best as we can to watch Crossett grow and expand. And you know, that's what we try and do. Sometimes it works, sometimes I don't do so well, but I had one old boss of mine tell me that he doesn't expect me to be perfect. All he expects is for me to try harder. And
Sure.
that has stuck with me for I don't know how many years, but I thought it was a good piece of advice, and I just keep trying every day. So like you mentioned earlier, we had our banquet, and I've been reaching out to folks. What can we do better next year? What can we improve on? And we're getting some great feedback from our community. So again, we just try and, you know, one foot in front of the other. And
Well, as we explore that banquet for a minute,
Okay.
and we're talking, I guess, and again, the purpose of this is to introduce Chris and the chamber and its services to a wider audience as you're watching on the internet, which of course we hope that you do. When I was at that chamber banquet, I noticed at times it looked like you were announcing a winner, or whoever it was, and then there was a pause. I mean, everybody would get up, cheer, they'd sit down, there was this kind of pause, and then they got up and cheered again. And I couldn't see from my vantage point, because I was, I guess, sitting in the back or away from the main action, but what was going on there? Was there some kind of, I mean, I didn't hear a speech from anybody, and I know you scripted the banquet very well, but what was happening in that interlude?
So most of that is we'd be up there and we'd read off the winner, and that's when most folks would stand up and clap. The winner would come up to the front. We had a little balloon arch, and myself and the outgoing president, Mr. Joe Felsman, would be there to present the trophy, the award to the individual. And that was probably a little down moment, and then after they snapped the pictures and they started walking back, that's when everybody would stand up again and clap. So like I said, we're already trying to figure out how to do it better, so I hate to say it, the folks in the back can see better.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was an odd experience for me personally, because we were in the back at the time, and we couldn't tell what was going on. I mean, we obviously heard the award announced. We did, again, everybody stood up, clapped their hands, you know, and some were standing ovations, by the way, for
Yes.
several people, which is good. And then there was this pause, and then people stand up again. And it kind of felt, to me, unusual, because I felt like I was doing a version of the wave, you know, if you remember.
Well,
that
we just
before
wanted
games.
everybody to get their exercise, you know, have some fun.
I guess if we're talking, or we're doing our own critique of the chamber banquet, then would that mean that in a future time there may be like a big screen set up where people can see these people or see what's going on in the back? Or do you arrange the configuration of the tables differently,
So,
or how would you approach that?
So I've already been collecting some of the input, and in the coming weeks, I'm gonna sit down with my board, we're gonna have our review, but both of those have been brought up, is if we can rearrange somehow and make it easier for everybody to see, if we can work with the school and have a individual working a video camera to get it up on their big jumbotron. So we have a lot of positive feedback that, again, I did not think of, so we are gonna try and see what we can implement for next year to make it better and more user-friendly, I guess.
Now, one thing I can speak to that I thought was very excellent was actually the food.
Oh, it was great.
It was a great job, and that was done by a local vendor.
Yes, that was by Mandy over at the Beach Street Bistro.
And I got to tell you too, and I know we're going a little bit off subject here, but it's still the chamber.
Food is never off topic.
Food's
Never off
okay,
topic.
well that's good. She had these mashed potatoes and this gravy that was just out of this world. At least what I got on my plate. Now, I don't know if there were different servings for different tables or different individuals, but she had this fantastic mashed potato and gravy combination
Yes.
that had a very unique flavor. I guess maybe that was how I would.
Oh, it was very good. The downside is, with me, I'm doing a lot of the talking, so I get to eat at the end, so it's a little bit cold, but again, it was still amazing. I was happy I just got a chance to eat, but again, food was amazing, so the Bistro, they did a great job. The Boys and Girls Club, they helped serve the food, they were amazing. We even had the American Legion post the colors, do the pledge. Again, thank you to all of them, because there's no way we can do that without all of these organizations coming together.
Now, let me also compliment the building, because I hadn't been in that building in several years. In fact, I remember the old Crossett field house from way back in the day. That building was very well lit. It was very well air conditioned. I mean, I didn't feel warm in there at all. Sometimes you go to these banquets, there are a lot of people.
Yes.
It's a little bit warm.
Yes.
And again, it was very well lit, so I could actually see at first the award winners. Now, when y'all went off to the side, that pause we talked about, but I could see at least some of what was going on even from
Yes.
where I was. But the building was a very solid building to have such an event like this.
Yes, it is. We try and stay there, but yeah, the high school arena, I remember last year when we were preparing for the banquet and I first stepped foot in there and I was just in awe because it was immaculate. That facility was astonishing, and I looked around and I thought it was bigger than the high school I went to, just in that arena. And I understand that we try and do it there. Sometimes we go to different locations, but again, that facility, it holds the amount of people, the lighting, the atmosphere. It's a great place to have a gathering.
And as we revisit that banquet now, you also introduced your new board.
Yes, sir.
So what do you think in your early going with this new board? I mean, have y'all actually met yet, or is that still yet to happen?
We have had one meeting with our new board members, but so far at that one meeting, they have thrown out some great ideas, some great input. They are willing to help out. I know a lot of the boards, and not necessarily here, but in the past and other places, they want to get on board and they just, yeah, I'll agree with you, I'll agree with you. My board doesn't do that. They actually want to, try and make something better. They want to be on the board to help Crossett, to help our chamber. They're not there to just take a seat. So I'm very excited about our new board members.
Well, I know if you talk about a composition of chamber boards, and again, what's interesting about chambers in general is they kind of reflect their individual communities.
Yes.
There are chamber boards that kind of act like, pardon the comparison, but act like almost like corporate boards. They're a bunch of CEOs, and they sit, they give a general direction, a policy, and then you don't see them until the next board meeting. And then other chamber boards, as you say, are very hands-on
Yes.
and very involved, and sometimes they are, as you say, doing the bulk of the work. I realize this chamber probably leans more toward
Oh,
members
absolutely.
being actually more hands-on.
Very much so. That's where I got extremely lucky with, is they are willing to help. Anytime we have something coming up, I'm getting phone calls, text messages, emails. What can I do to help? And I don't think we at the chamber could do all these events without the board that we have, without them willing to put forth that effort and donate their time and energy to get this stuff done. So again, I'm very blessed to have the individuals that I have to help serve this community, because they're great. Don't know if you noticed, but again, going back to the banquet, they were even out there helping serve the food, make sure everybody got. And I think that, like you mentioned, those corporate chambers, they wouldn't do that. So again, that's that little bit of southern hospitality of here in Crossett, is they're gonna get their hands dirty to help out our members.
So let me ask you this, since you are the director and since you obviously were at that chamber banquet, and other than your food getting cold, what would you have done differently? I mean, if you thinking about it in hindsight, would you have done the tables differently? Would you have had the big screen that you talked about? What if it was your choice alone, what would you have done?
Well, I would do what any married person would do, is I would ask my wife what to do. No, I think overall it went pretty well, so I was very happy with it. And of course, nothing is perfect.
Right.
There's always room for improvement, so we will have that discussion at our next board meeting on what can we change, but not necessarily change. What can we improve on, I guess is a better way to put it. If we do need to rearrange, if we do, try and find some way to hook up and do videos so everybody can see what's going on. But again, there's always things that we can do, always things we can improve on, and that's all we want to do, is leave the chamber better than we found it.
Well, now here's a question that I found interesting as we get ready to wrap up. What about the time of year? You did it in February. Has there been a thought to moving it to June or March? How did you come to February as the date for it?
So again, this is my second banquet. Last year it was the end of January, but we try and keep it within the beginning of the year to celebrate the previous year. So all those winners were the winners for 2025.
Okay, I got you. Well, on that point, we will leave it at that. Now, next week when we do this show, we'll sure talk about other subjects, or maybe talk about some of your board members, or have one of them on, which we hope to do in a future show, by the way. Chris and I seek to be inclusive, and we seek to have, obviously, different voices from the business community here. This was a great start, though, and a great introduction. And again, we appreciate you watching. I'm Rick Kennedy. He is Chris Wall, and this has been Arkansas Nightside. For sponsorship of this podcast or any other podcast of the Ashley News Observer, contact Sarah Stagg or Emerald Bonnet at the Ashley News Observer.